Yo, what's up? So, I recently watched X-Men Apocalypse with my brother. I really enjoyed it overall. Yeah, it's a really fun action movie. Other than that, I don't think there's much going on. I mean, it is it is kind of impressive, like over time with like say the Avengers and the Avengers 2 and some of these other movies like Civil War, like the number of movies that are not necessarily amazing but quite good action movies, and yet they have like 10 characters. Because you think of like Batman and Robin, that's a classic case of like a movie. I guess it was just a terrible movie anyway, but I think there's a often you feel like too many characters tends to bog down a movie. But now we're seeing like people are figuring out ways. Maybe it's because they have more people working on the movie, more screenwriters, more people doing special effects. Maybe the budgets are going bigger. Maybe it's an economy of scale as there's more people watching movies, more money can be put into it. But anyway, they're able to handle more characters, and X-Men Apocalypse is kind of epic in terms of it has quite a lot of characters, so I think that aspect works. I still think X-Men are fundamentally stupid. Their powers are ridiculous, but I think this one's reasonably good at roughly establishing how powerful each person is and giving them they can all compete to some degree with each other, although there's still maybe a bit of a hierarchy of Apocalypse himself is like so powerful, and but Professor X is also very powerful, but there's all these different and Magneto is really powerful, different levels. um I feel like the best way to summarize it is it's like a kid playing with the toys, where it's like every character gets their moment and it's all colorful and fun, and there's always a part where the bad guy's really really winning, and then this character does something and that buys a bit of time, and then it's getting really bad in this place, and then this character does something, and then these characters team up to do something, and this character's fighting this character while over here these characters are fighting, and um yeah, it's just lots of things going on, and there's no, and I enjoy it for that. I think that can be fun. I think in that way, it's actually there's not that many movies like it. It is really entertaining. But let's see. One thing I've got to address is there's so many X-Men movies. I can't. It blows my mind, and it's really hilarious to me with a lot of these things. They start off with numbers, and then they start going into colons, and then once you go into colon land, you seem to stay in colon land. Like the Superman movies, there's four of them. Even Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, and then it's like, okay, it died. I guess Superman 3 was like maybe mixed, and then Superman 4 was pretty terrible, I think. And then Superman Returns by Bryan Singer as well, who I actually think he's a bit of a. I'll come back to him. He's a bit of a one-hit wonder. He's like M. Night Shyamalan. I'll come back to that. But Superman, then Man of Steel, to give it a new title. I don't know if there's going to be a Man of Steel 2. Batman versus Superman, of course. I haven't seen that one. Uh, let's see. It's like the Underworld movies. They have Underworld, Evolution, Rise of the Lycans, or I don't know, Resident Evil, Retribution, or I'm just making that one up. It's always something that ends in TION, institution, something like that. But yeah, you got X Men 2, directed by Bryan Singer, then X3 or is the second one called X2, X Men United? Already they're going with Collins. X Men 3, The Last Stand. Obviously, it's not The Last Stand. They've had like 10 movies since then. X Men Origins, Wolverine. And then just, what was the other one? Wolverine. I don't know how many Wolverine movies there are. I don't think I like many of them. I saw part of one of them. I think I saw the first one. I thought it was alright because I think Gambit was in it. I thought that was cool. The other Wolverine I saw parts looks terrible. And then X-Men First Class. it's, it's so confusing. I guess it's a reboot. And then just to mess up the fact you thought it was a reboot, well, X-Men Days of Future Past is like I don't know what you call that. It's like a crisscross. It'd be like a movie. I don't know if there is like one that crosses the original Brady Bunch with the Brady Bunch from the movies. They like some time travel and they interact with each other, and then now X-Men Apocalypse. But anyway, it's just that's the thing. It's so crazy. There's no real you know, cohesive whole story, I think. But it doesn't matter too much. They make references to the previous movie. I think I sort of got it. But I was so confused with, because they introduced Cyclops, and I didn't remember if he had been in some of the others or not yet. I think Jubilee's like in the background. They're always like casting people who are in the background, like they're going to be in the next one, or they're going to be in one of the ones down the track. I didn't even know Storm was Storm. I didn't know who that was. It's like my brother mentioned Storm. I was like, what? Oh, that was Storm. I didn't know that was her. I do think it's a bit, I guess, yeah, Apocalypse himself is pretty cool. He's so powerful, but that it's not clear why he didn't, I don't know, just kind of make the sand go, like he just does this and the sand go, his eyes go white and he just put the sand through people. I don't know, they just turn into sand, or they get pushed back and melt into a wall and then turn into sand. Of course, all the important characters get, just get this enough time. Like, he doesn't just kill them. He always gives them just enough chance that someone else could save him. Unless, of course, there might be some moment where one of the characters dies, and that's our big emotional moment. Let's see. I like the colors, the special effects. Like, I mean, literally colors. That lady, what's her name? Olivia Wilde or something. I think she's like an internet personality. She was cool. I'm not gonna pretend like, yeah, she's attractive. That's the main reason I like her character. But the purple, I don't get it. She just has purple energy. What's her character? Psylocke. Now, I mean, a character doesn't have to, like a villain doesn't have to be developed. Take the T-1000 is a good example. Even the Terminator in the original Terminator, Darth Maul, even if you don't like the Star Wars prequels, like I'd say he's a pretty cool villain. He's not developed. A villain just has to be a threat. That's all. But with Psylocke, I don't get what her power is. It's confusing. Does she like project her pink energy? I don't know why it's pink, because she's a girl. I don't know. Into a, well, you're wearing a pink. This is purple, I guess. Actually, it was kind of purple. So my mum would like her. She likes purple. But yeah, she has like a sword. It's like a lightsaber, basically. I don't know. It was kind of cool, but it's still not clear exactly what her power is. But it was cool. Okay, she's a bad guy. She's kind of powerful. And then Storm, I like how she just, controls the weather. I don't know, she points her hands, thinks about it, her eyes go white or something like that. And she controls the weather. And Magneto, of course, controls magnetism. And he just reaches deep into the earth, and there's all this iron, and then these weird circles. I don't know why these circles happen, these magnetic fields, the cycles, like, I don't know, it's of all the things you could do, just making things go in loops. It just seems kind of funny and weird, but I don't know. I guess that's cool. I guess that could be reasonable if that's your power to create fields. If you create a huge field, you'd have these things maybe moving in cycles. It'd be, I don't know. It's creative. It just seems but Angel, I think that's the character's name. It's this guy who's got wings. This is where there was a part of the movie where they mentioned the word evolution. I was like, what are you talking about? This has nothing. I have to address this. I have to. There's nothing, because people get confused about this. People think evolution is like all of a sudden you got wings. It doesn't work like that. It's a gradual something, which was usually an accident, a little mutation that happens to benefit a species more than not having that mutation, and then it tends to get passed on and it becomes standard, or becomes commonplace within the species, this genetic difference. He just has wings. He's just a human with wings. Like, what's the bone structure? What's going on there? I'm not saying it's impossible, but that's not one step. That's not one step. If you want to go one step, like, it'd be other random things that would be really bad. Like 99% or more, like only one, the chance of a random mutation that extreme being good for you it would be 1 in 1,000 million, like bigger than that. Okay, so for him to get a mutation there, he gets wings, like these huge wings which are like more like an eagle or some kind of bird, which we have no lineage with. Like, it baffles the mind. But anyway, it's just a made up thing. It's so hilarious. Some guy with wings. It's not even realistic the way he flaps I swear there's parts where he's pretty much just floating. It's like he would have to keep floating, like flapping to float. But he's just like he's not even flapping. He seems to just stay somewhere for a second. It's crazy. And like how much strength does he have? That's crazy. And then the apocalypse just makes it magically turn into metal. Like again, I don't know how that works. And then it's not. He shoots these things out. It's not clear how does he recharge those. Where do they come from? How many does he have? Like, does it matter? Maybe I should worry about that, but it just instantly shots them out. I'd be like, well, do you have to go over and like take them and stick them back in your back, or will you grow new ones? How long does it take? I'm sorry, but there's a law of conservation of matter. You can't just things don't come out of nowhere, even in X-Men Apocalypse Land. Okay, um, uh, I'm not a okay. I think Jennifer Lawrence is kind of attractive. Again, maybe I'm just superficial, but I'm not a huge fan of her acting or her character in these movies. Mystique. It sounds like I don't know. It sounds too similar to Mistake. It's not a cool name to me, Mystique. I mean, maybe I don't know why making things sound French is so cool, to people, but and the fact that she could like I don't get it. Isn't she proud of being the blue, naked? You know, it seems more like the kind of character that was created by, you know, like I'm just thinking of every comic book cover ever and how all the female characters are always turned around so you can see their backside, but also twisted their upper torso so you can see some of their, you know, chest endowments, as it were. And yeah, she's just like a naked blue character, but it's like it's beautiful because that's her true form, that's her body, and she's blue, she's an alien. It's just an excuse to draw a naked woman. I'm not completely complaining, but then it's also kind of weird. It's like, why can't it just be a naked woman? Why does it have to be blue and with like frills, like scales, and her power is to turn into other people? It doesn't get used much, only a tiny bit. I also don't like the connections between. This is an issue with all the X-Men movies, where they try to tie it in with the X-Men are kind of like minority groups that are getting discriminated against, and all these debates. There's something about it is just stupid. It doesn't work like that. But yeah, first off, evolution and mutations doesn't work like that. And then the idea that society as a whole will just discriminate against X-Men and they got to band together. And then uh, I don't really like Magneto. I feel like every single movie he's like a good guy and then he turns into a bad guy and then at the last minute he has a change of heart for some reason and becomes a good guy. I don't. Some people might think that's cool. He's always really edgy. You never know what he's got. I just think it's stupid. It's just arbitrary. He's a jerk. I'd be like, dude, you're going to jail. I don't care what your excuse is. He's a villain. Okay, you can't just. It's like Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi. Like, you know, forgiving him for all the stuff he did all throughout. You know, tortures Han Solo, puts him in carbon freeze or whatever. God knows how many people he killed or intimidated in various ways, force choked. You know, just someone makes one little mistake, just kills him. It's basically a strong analogy between the Imperial fleet or army and the Nazis. Like that's the closest analogy I can think of. I think they were modeling it after that. You know, the uniforms and stuff like that's the type of operation it is. And then at the end, it's like, you know, I changed my mind because of Luke. And it's like, dude, I don't care. You killed all these people. Darth Vader's still a bad guy. You can't redeem all of that. You know, this is this mentality people have of like, you don't know what the childhood of these killers was like. Look, I understand it's not always that simple to judge someone, and there can be complexities, but evil's evil. Like if you did something bad, you're an adult. You're an adult. Once you pass the age of 5, like, well, let's say, well, 18, for example, or even younger, like 15, 12, something like that. Like, you're responsible. Just, you know the right thing to do. You just have to do it. You can't keep at this, anyway. Just while I'm on this topic, I'm pretty sure Thomas Sowell, this person I'm a huge fan of, I don't want to misquote it, but I'm pretty sure in America they had these. He mentioned how they had these changes around the 60s or a bit later to try to rehabilitate criminals and be sort of easier on them and give them other options. And crime rates went up after that. They're like, unsurprisingly to those that understood. And then once they went with more strict rules again, if you look at countries like Japan, I think maybe Singapore, a few countries where they've got extremely strict rules about crime and corruption, and just the punishments are pretty quick and harsh, and you know, the crime rates are extremely low. I'm not saying the system is perfect, and it's very important to me to have a innocent until proven guilty kind of philosophy, but to drag out, you know, court cases and all that, all the costs, like it's terrible. It has to be clear cut. You commit a crime, that's it. You're done. You have to take responsibility. Anyway, so yeah, the whole point. Magneto, he's a complete jerk. There's no forgiving. There's no forgiving for that. I don't get it. Anyway, I liked some of the bits with Quicksilver, although I couldn't help but be reminded, spoiler alert, I guess, for Avengers 2, because it's so funny, the same characters in that movie, and it's played by two actors who were both in Kick-Ass, that were friends. It's weird. The character passed away in the Avengers 2, so it just kind of feels weird that he's still alive in this one, but I thought it was done well. I thought it was pretty cool. And yeah, all the build-up. Apocalypse himself is very cool. I thought the character was done well, although I still feel like he could have been a bit bigger, a bit more intimidating or powerful. Or I almost felt like one movie's not enough to do it justice. But yeah, and I did like the opening sequence. It didn't explain things. You just sort of quickly figure out, oh, so people were doing signals to each other, and it's like, well, what's going on? And then you figure out they must be the good guys. They're trying to kill Apocalypse, and they nearly managed to. They basically sabotaged him, and and then one of these other ones is like really powerful, and it protects Apocalypse before getting killed herself. And it doesn't explain anything. You just kind of figure it out. I think that's kind of cool. Let's see. There were some funny, unintentionally funny, but also deliberately funny parts in the movie. Yeah, it's not an overly original or incredible movie. The easiest way to explain it is, again, just someone playing with toys, lots of stupid fun, random action that feels a bit arbitrary, but the special effects hold up, and the plot works. The story, you can follow it, and I think it's kind of satisfying. Just lacks depth and lacks it's nothing compared to, in my opinion, like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, or even I like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns. I don't think it's a bit different, so maybe it's hard to compare it to something like Batman because the special effects are on a whole different level. There's so many more characters, and there are some good acting moments. Yeah, I didn't really like Angel as well because he's meant to be a villain. He looks like a guy from, I wonder if it is a guy. I feel stupid now if that's the case. From One Direction or something. And I know he's got like all abs and stuff, and like girls might be like, oh my god, he's like so cute, that chest, oh my god. Which, I don't know, maybe I'm a hypocrite if I appreciate an attractive female character, but an attractive male character, I'm like, that's stupid. But he doesn't seem intimidating. He doesn't seem scary. He just seems pouty and angry. I also think Nightcrawler was pretty cool, although maybe a bit geeky. That seems to be in, I don't know, with characters, just awkward moments. Anyway, I think I better leave it there. So I don't know, I might give it an 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. It's enjoyable. It's good. It's good enough that there's parts of it I would feel like I want to watch it again just for that, how cool it is, like seeing the part where Apocalypse does this or that, and then seeing the other part where this happens, and the spectacle. It's got a bit of spectacle to it, and the special effects look good overall. There's a few parts where maybe it just feels like obvious CGI and just doesn't feel real. I don't like when it just feels like there's people on wires, floating around, and there's just a big green screen. It just feels stupid waste of time. Like, I can imagine more interesting things than that. But when it feels real and it's like, whoa, just what I'm seeing is incredible. That's cool. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching. Goodbye.